Hello everyone, welcome to episode 42 of the Made of Things podcast. I am your host, António Maria Correia, and this time on the show we have Ben and James of Biffy Clyro, the Scottish rock band. But before we get to that, there's a couple things I need to address. First off, we have new media partners. We have the wonderful people at Fest Mag, which is a Portuguese music magazine, online magazine. It has been around for a while, and they've been really sweet to us. And so we decided that it was time to start this media partnership. So they'll be posting our stuff, and we have some other connections, like we should probably be starting some sort of event organization and stuff like that. So other stuff includes not just Fest Mag, that is Fest Mag, and but also Altamont. Yeah. So Altamont is a music website in Portugal. So all of these are in Portuguese. So it's if you want to check out those sites, then either Festmag or Altamont.pt. I suggest that you use Google Translate, which is a pretty good service, by the way. So even if you don't get the whole, perfect translation, I guess that it would be kind of useful to understand stuff that's written in Portuguese. Because I mostly have international guests. I mainly write stuff in English, so but yeah, sometimes I do stuff in Portuguese. So and that'd be cool. That if you check the not only the Made of Things Portuguese posts out, as well as Altamont.pt and Festmag, both in English. Yeah. So because the posts are obviously in Portuguese. So yeah, this is a roundabout way of saying that this is cool that we have two new media partners, in which I forgot to mention that I've been writing for Altamont for a few years now, actually a long time, to be honest, but I don't do it as often as I should, but I totally do it as often as I can, which is barely. But it's mostly, it's allowed me to go to Primavera Sound in Barcelona and write stuff, articles on each day of the festival for the past couple of years now. So I'm probably not going this year for the first time in 7, but the past few times, like 2 or 3 times, I did go through Altamont. So yeah, if you probably heard the name Altamont, which is kind of like the second Woodstock, more or less. So it was unfortunately this festival that became known for having this huge accident involving the deaths of hundreds of people. But yeah, that's not the idea here, obviously. It's just because the lineup was really good, and it's in sync with the tastes of the 30 or 40 people that write for Altamont, so which are mainly just respected journalists in several areas. So yeah, that's our media partners. And the second thing I'd like to address is that is actually the Royal Rumble. I'm into wrestling. If you haven't been, I'm into wrestling. I am into wrestling, more and more so actually, because it's pretty awesome. And when I was a kid, I used to watch wrestling. This was back in the early 90s, and then it became kind of old, really, because no good matches were ever on, and and was kind of boring. So, and it was like too cartoony and too cartoonish, I mean. And so I quit wrestling for like 10 years. And back in 2004, so actually almost, so 12 to 13 or 14 years or something. Back in 2004, it was on Portuguese television, which is unusual because not unusual, that's not what I meant at all. But it was back on Portuguese television, and then I realized that was kind of awesome because, all good matches, very impressive, work from the guys. And then I kind of, I'm referring to, WWE, so mainstream wrestling. So then, but I skipped the whole Attitude Era, if you know what I mean, like The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin and the rise of Triple H and stuff like that. So when I go back into wrestling, I'm talking about, Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, and Chris Benoit was still, huge, and Rob Van Dam was around, and Evolution were the main heels and stuff like that. So John Cena wasn't even barely, a thing. So then it kind of became old, and again, because WWE turned PG. So that means, no blood and no violence, mainly no violence, I mean. So yeah, that kind of became kind of boring, and even though some talent was amazing during these past few years, which it's a shame that I skipped on, which is CM Punk and Daniel Bryan and stuff like that. So I kind of regret not having watched it, but the shows were just super slow, and so it's I've started to watch wrestling again recently. And because WWE, because of Triple H's new guidance as the CEO, or is he the COO? That's Kevin Dunn, I think. Okay, so I think he's the CEO. Yeah. I'm drawing a blank here, but yeah. So but he's guiding the whole company really, and so yeah, the way the things have evolved with the whole, NXT and the talent coming from NXT and the Cruiserweight Championship, the Cruiserweight Classic, I mean, the tournament, and the I don't know, just the whole inclusion of people such as Kevin Owens and obviously Seth Rollins, and who else do I love? Oh, Sami Zayn, of course, but and the rise of Chris Jericho, the rebirth of Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is possibly the most fun wrestler, I think, and this might be a stretch, but maybe since Roddy Piper, maybe, as a wrestler. I don't know, it's so fun. It's the whole list thing is so fun, and it's dumb, but it's very fun. So that's I recommend you guys watch the whole. Oh, there's AJ Styles now. Come on, So I watched the Royal Rumble. So I'm back into wrestling now and watching the whole thing. It's very exciting because they're doing good things. That's the whole point. And so here's my thoughts on the Royal Rumble. So the first match, this is the pre-show. You had the women's SmackDown women's tag, 6-person tag. With Becky Lynch, Nikki Bella, and Naomi defeating Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, and Natalya. Well, as far as women's matches go, this is now way better than it used to be. If you don't count Trish Stratus, Lita, and Victoria, and a couple more. It's not the women's division has been very, very poor since for the longest time. So, and the whole it's not very good with this women's revolution. After the resurgence, of Charlotte Flair, who is amazing and absolute badass, totally captivating, and an excellent wrestler, and just basically murders everyone. And Sasha Banks and stuff like that. And I'm not too much into Bailey, but she's really good. I don't like the whole gimmick. It's kind of dumb. Just Bailey is very stupid, and the whole it's a belly-to-belly suplex, her finisher, so it's not, get a better finisher. So it's kind of stupid, but it's, very posy and very positive, So I kind of get why people love her, and she's technically very, very good, but, it's just like her whole thing is like kind of boring. But anyway, we'll get to Bailey later. So my point was that this match was pretty good, but acceptable. Nothing like Charlotte or Sasha, so levels of amazing women's matches, but still pretty good and decent, and it's fun to see that the usually bland and not even that beautiful Bella twins are actually starting to wrestle better. So that's pretty good. That's a good improvement. So yeah, this was an okay match, and I guess they ended up rewarding the better wrestler, or at least a more exciting one, which is Naomi. And I think she might be getting a push, which is pretty good. So yeah, enough on that. And then we have the second match, which is champions Cesaro and Sheamus against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, formerly of the Bullet Club. And I think they're called a club in WWE. So Cesaro and Sheamus lost the belts pretty quickly. That was kind of surprising. But then again, Gallows and Anderson had been, in line for the belts for a while now. And it's kind of, either way it could have gone, it would have been good. Gallows and Anderson were well due the championship, at least, but I'm pretty sure that Cesaro and Sheamus still have something to. I think they're not breaking them up this easily. I think Sheamus is kind of underrated in the way that Cesaro is obviously really good. Gallows and Anderson are obviously excellent, and but Sheamus, he's an impressive guy, and but the whole thing is that I don't agree that Sheamus ruins stuff. I just think that his hairstyle is beyond ridiculous. Like, just discredits him immediately. So he's a pretty good wrestler and should be taken, as he could be one of the main guys, actually, I think. But so I think that the Cesaro Sheamus tag is very good, and at least is a good idea, and it should be entertaining for a while, and that's kind of what we want. I hope they feud with Gallows and Anderson. It should be potentially very good. Next up, we have Nia Jax against Sasha Banks. And Nia Jax is like 3 times the size of Sasha Banks, who is, if you haven't seen her wrestle, she's made of rubber, basically, and has no joints. Is basically just jointless or double jointed. And I don't think that the thing with Sasha Banks is she's really good, but her gimmick is the boss. She's tiny. She can't be the boss of Nia Jax, and Nia Jax actually calls her out on that. So in terms of narrative, I mean, it makes total sense that Nia Jax says, like, I'm going to crush you. And she did. So she basically beat Sasha Banks clean, just crushed her with herself. So that was, again, a good match because Raw's women's division is much better than SmackDown's, I believe. But still, SmackDown is doing a good job. Still, so it's improving. It's quite impressive what they've done the past year. So both of them. Okay. So this next match starts off the main card. So which is Bayley, as I said, going against the champion Charlotte Flair. And Charlotte, I'm a huge fan of, and I think they're lining her up with being the Ric Flair of women's wrestling, really. So just the total game changer, being huge, one of the all-time best. She already is one of the all-time best, but she's going to go stronger, going to cement her legacy, and going against Bayley, she beat Bayley clean, and I think that values the title, and that's pretty good because it's been kind of changing hands a little bit too much, but it's okay. I think it's acceptable, and they need to establish Charlotte as not established. She's already established, but cement her whole thing. And she was never going to lose to Bayley, I guess, in a pay-per-view. So pretty good, really good match. Another really good match was Kevin Owens, the Universal Champion, against Roman Reigns. Kevin Owens pulled his Tower of Chairs, I think, Tower of Pain or something, which is like this whole pyramid of steel chairs, which is super fun, and it's just like hanging there for 15 minutes or something until they do something with it. So they're kind of like teasing the idea of that's they're still like a 6 foot. A 6 foot tower of chairs, all piled up very strategically outside the ring for 15 minutes, and so while they're wrestling, what are they going to do with this? And eventually Kevin Owens himself drops, as you'd expect, on his own creation. This was kind of weird in terms of everybody was expecting Chris Jericho, who was hanging from a steel cage over the ring, to drop his belt, and that was the finisher. But because it was so obvious, because Jericho's the U.S. champion, so he always had his belt on him. So that's always a potential weapon for Owens to strike Roman Reigns with. But that ended up not happening. They did drop something, which was a brass knuckle. And that was fun because they teased with the idea, but then I thought that having Braun Strowman run in and basically knock the lights out of Roman was unexpected, and that's fun. So sure, it kind of ruined the match, but it kind of ideally or conceptually it would ruin the match, but because it was obvious that this wasn't going to go anywhere, they wrestled a really good match. It was exciting, and then it had a surprise finish, so no complaints, really good. Okay, so next on we have Neville against Rich Swann. Rich Swann is the champion, or was the champion, because he lost to Neville, and I haven't really been following the Cruiserweight division that much because they don't really seem to know what they're doing with it. The Cruiserweight Classic, as I said before, is an amazing tournament if you can catch it, even if you have no context. It doesn't need any context. It's just possibly the best wrestling tournament I've ever seen. If you're excited about Kenny Omega versus Okada, then you should go back and rewatch some of the shows that some of the matches that were on the Cruiserweight Classic, because Gargano Ciampa was ridiculous, and some others were amazing. Just like the whole card was ridiculous. But Neville has a heel turn. It's fun. He should hold the belt for a little while because it needs this. It needs a heel, really. That's what this division possibly needed, because they're all good guys, apart from Brian Kendrick, who's playing heel, but he's lovable still. So everybody loves him, especially with him being friends with Daniel Bryan and stuff like that. And they're going kayfabe all the time with their friendship and stuff like that. So yeah. Rich Swann is amazing, and I hope they feud, or at least have some sort of. They have the whole being formerly being friends. I'm sure they're friends still, but yeah, it's good dynamics and possibly a good boost to the cruiserweight division. Then on we have the WWE Championship match, and AJ Styles lost the belt to John Cena, which I thought was I wasn't expecting necessarily this to happen, but it's pretty clear that at least John Cena was going to tie Ric Flair as the person with the most title reigns of all time. But I'm not sure that he's going to break the record. I don't think they're going to go for it, and obviously the show was amazing. The match again. The match was amazing, as has the whole trilogy, or I think possibly more. But the whole trilogy of matches between Styles and Cena have been absolutely amazing. The SummerSlam one was amazing, and Cena, has been, pay-per-view crowds were always booing Cena, and I agree, it was kind of being pushed for the longest time, and it was kind of tedious. One of the reasons I stopped watching wrestling was just because Cena and Orton and Cena, and Punk and Cena were amazing matches, but I think the matches Cena had with Punk and with Daniel Bryan really upped his game, and Big Match Cena has become extremely exciting. And so I think this was kind of a goodbye, this whole run with AJ Styles. This match totally felt, even though he walked off with the belt, which means that he's going to wrestle against possibly Randy Orton at WrestleMania, it kind of felt like a goodbye. So the way he looked amazing, like perfect. Like if he's going to go out, let him look like that. Then just the way he walked off with the belt and smiled back, kind of like he did before. Well, when we felt that he was passing the torch to AJ Styles, this time it kind of felt like he did. He was kind of saying like, "This is my last." This is kind of, he was like savoring the moment in which he was, being crowned the champion for the last time. That's what I think, at least. That's what I felt it was. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Again, now on the Rumble match. The Rumble match is really fun. Usually, it's not the best match for. It's not at all the best match for wrestling fans. It's just like an entertaining thing, and it's. I wasn't expecting Orton to win. I was rooting for Jericho, even though it didn't make a lot of sense. It would have made sense because of the, him going against Kevin Owens, but then again, was kind of like obvious. And again, they toyed with the idea because I think Jericho has the longest running time in the whole Rumbles, I think. So that's good. That's good because they're valuing him. That's very important. Roman coming in at number 30 is bullshit. Amazing what they did with Goldberg and Lesnar. So, because Goldberg again is just basically running over Brock Lesnar. The Braun Strowman thing is also good because they're giving him a push. It's good because it's fun that Undertaker is on the way out, and Lesnar, you kind of never know how he's going to. Continue the legacy of the streaks and WrestleManias and stuff like that. You kind of never know, and he's not very old. He can still go for I guess a long time, really. But it's cool to have impressive guys, and I kind of have the feeling that Braun Strowman is a really good guy, actually. So I was just expecting Orton to win. It's for some reason that doesn't make too much sense to me. I think Orton could have he's one of the all-time greats, that's for sure. But he's going against Cena, I guess. or something. We'll see what happens in the Elimination Chamber. That should be fun. It's always really good. Okay, so one last thing is that before we get to the Biffy Clyro thing, sorry if I've taken a huge amount of time, but if you're not into wrestling, you should have skipped already. So I should address that just for a minute, how fucked up, Trump is in his way of dealing with stuff. As a European, I mean, I guess all Europeans are against Donald Trump. He's like this product of extreme capitalism and people who have just money and results in, even results, but just money as their main priority. And the thing is that politics needs to have social concerns. So because it's telling that, if you have total lack of empathy for others, then you're probably a sociopath. So you kind of need to. How can you take certain measures and just ignore that it's possibly going to kill people? He's been deregulating Wall Street, and the whole Muslim ban is ridiculous. And so yeah, basically this man is going to get people killed. Okay, so there needs to be non-violent but very radical measures against his what he's been doing, and especially people like Steve Bannon need to be set in his place. And guys, if you support Trump in any way, I understand the whole the certain logic that's behind whatever you believe, and I'm not saying that left wing is always good at all. What I'm saying is that you cannot have, please, any lack of compassion for other human beings. Come on, you cannot be that selfish. Just they're stealing my money, not in my backyard, stuff like that. What? I mean, the state spends a huge amount of money on bullshit that you voted for, and that, the tiniest percentage of that could save someone's life. So this whole thing is very, very unbalanced. You're worried about stuff that's not important. How are you going to ban Mexicans from your country when New Mexico and California have a huge population of Mexicans who are American, really? There's no real difference. I mean, I'm sure there are problems, but I'm positive that it's, we had over here in Europe, we had a wall until 20 years ago. 25, and it didn't work, guys. So it's ridiculous. It's intolerant behavior is going to end up getting people killed, and people are going are going to die because of bullshit like this. It's really something we cannot deal with. Okay, but enough about that. Okay. Enough about that. But it's funny because Biffy Clyro, it's funny because we start off the interview and I try to avoid being political during the conversations I have with my guests, because I think that's secondary to we go there if we go there, but I think it's secondary to what we're doing, which is discussing art. And art and politics shouldn't really mix necessarily, I think. But we did end up, James and Ben and I, starting our conversation with Trump. With Trump talk. Trump talk. So we had to go there because it was just fresh. He had just been inaugurated. So that was on the news of the day. Okay, so what I should say before we get to the conversation is that if you don't know Biffy Clyro, or even if you do, maybe you know Biffy Clyro from the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years or something. And I'm not saying that it's bad at all. the new album is really good, for instance. They've always been very good, but they've become more and more mainstream, so they're reaching a really wide target. What I'm saying is that I'm a fan of the old material, and that becomes clear during our chat with them. And what I'm saying is that if you're a fan now, you should go back and listen to their previous stuff, because it's really good. It becomes clear during our interview, so our chat. I don't like calling these things interviews. But yeah, this go back and listen to old school Biffy Clyro, because it's really, really good. So yeah, the new stuff is just more, more wide in terms of appeal, I guess. But the guys have to go somewhere. You have to go do something with your music. They've been around for a while, so you can't always be doing the same things, which is fun. So they've gone to different places and have become successful doing what they do, and it's fun. And I appreciate that, and I think that they should. I'm just calling out the perception you should have of them should include previous material and not just what they're doing now. That's my whole thing. So the guys were lovely. I loved speaking to them. I will try my best to speak to them always. Any interview that ends with a hug is good. So guys, please enjoy my conversation with James and Ben of Biffy Clyro. Rushing. Yes, always rushing. Yeah. I usually start my interviews all sweaty. It's really stupid, especially during summer festivals.
Yeah. I bet you.
But this also goes on audio format. So could you guys say your names and introduce yourselves?
Yeah. Hello, I'm James.
Hello, this is the voice of Ben.
The voice of doom.
The Trump speech was kind of like Bane. Some articles online are saying that.
Yeah. We didn't hear much of it, but everything about his delivery and the things that he's saying, it is cartoonish.
Well, I'm not trying to put any buzzwords or anything during this chat of ours, but and not to start off by with Trump, and I successfully avoided it though. Like the whole inauguration day and the inauguration speech, I was like managed to shut it off because I didn't want to know. Really.
It's tough. I mean, it's such an important part in the world's future. It really is, and I think it'd be foolish to ignore it. But there's certainly a part of my brain that's getting to the point where it's like it's saturation levels, and I now need to concentrate on my family and those that are around me and my little part of the world, as it were. And there's nothing I can really do to change things in America. And eventually, I'm kind of like, we need to sort of get on with our lives here as best we can. And we need to be there to support each other, but he's taking over everything we're doing, and I don't want that to happen to my life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, foolishly, willingly you can shut it off for a little while, and that's what I meant.
Yeah, that's it.
It's foolish, but if you completely ignore it, right? But sometimes it's just a little much.
I think everybody needs a break. It's not fun anymore, so I can understand why you want to just get a break from it, because every day it's like a whole new reveal of madness, and it's hard to keep up. So you do need to take a break, or you go insane.
It's like the madness onion.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Madness onion.
Fantastic. You got it spot.
Keeps on giving.
And if you cut it, makes you cry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
nice.
And it goes well with the ragu and stuff.
Perfect. You got it summed up, man.
It makes you stink as well.
Yeah. Good one. That's wow. That's on the money as well. But so you guys played here a bunch of times in Portugal, and it's mainly festivals. This is the first one that you're having a gig, a big venue gig on your own, right?
That's right. Yeah, we've been kind of waiting a long time. It's been quite tough not having come to do our own show, but hopefully the wait will be worthwhile. Because we've always had a great time here at the festivals at Nosh Alive, and Portugal's always treated us really well. So it's about time we come and did our own show. But people here are really passionate about music, love their music, love life, love to have a good time, and we're no different to that. So I think we'll have a good one tonight.
It's rainy ish. It's cold ish for Lisbon purposes. For Lisbon, I mean references or whatever. You guys get it. But and there's people outside, so they're lining up in queues. So
we saw a few people come in this morning. Everyone was really nice. There's the ubiquitous Brit in the middle of the crowd as well. But no, really nice. People welcomed. It's nice to, it kind of strikes me a lot. Every time you take a few weeks off the road, you have a kind of new appreciation for what it is that you do. And now that we've had a few weeks off over Christmas now and come back to tour and thinking that we're more than 1,000 miles from home, but it feels like we're at home because people make us feel so welcome, and it's really nice.
Do you guys have a following that literally follows you around?
Yeah, usually in most tours we have people that are at least a handful of people that are at every single show. I don't know where they find the money, or I don't know how they're not completely bored of us already, because they've seen us so many times. But thank you for coming back again and again. I do appreciate it.
Yeah. And do you guys, while you're playing any shows over here, did you at some point or at any point go like, right, now we have a Portuguese crowd?
Hopefully that moment will happen tonight. It certainly felt, like I mentioned, we felt welcomed here before. We've always had a great time at the festivals. Something changes when you play your own show and people have bought a ticket just to see you. You can have that connection. We're playing songs from the new album now, so it's a chance to kind of create the bond that hopefully will last for many years to come. And we love to play shows, so hopefully people won't get bored of us.
Well, there's a lot, even if people are getting into you now, there's a lot of back catalogue that's very interesting. So, very interesting. I'm a long-time fan, so yeah. This is a disclaimer. I should have started with this, but whatever. There's a disclaimer. There's a disclaimer. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I didn't sleep.
You know too much English. That's your problem. Your English is incredible.
Thank you so much. But I'm a long-time fan. Like a friend of mine got me into you guys back in 2005 with Infinity Land. Yeah. And we for Made of Things, which is the name of the show, have been doing parties and lately, and I play my recovery injection. Oh, wow. So there you go. And they're mainly rock parties, and I still love that song. And then went back to Vertigo is Bliss. Then because you guys were on MTV2, the late MTV2, all the time, which was great, with Puzzle and Only Revolutions. So all those singles, I was going through them today earlier, and again, and I was like, these are like imprinted in my brain. I know these, even sometimes I remember the name of the song or something. I know or which one is which or something, because they were all like, they were just being fed into my brain, because I used to have MTV2 on like the whole night or something, and so those were there. But you guys have stayed somewhat homogenous still. Like the songwriting is there, you can tell, and you guys can. Have you guys always had the same artistic goal with your music, or has it been changing?
I think it's changed. It's gone on a journey. One thing that stayed constant is us trying to make music that we enjoy, that makes us excited, that when you're in the studio or in the practice room, you're like looking at each other like, yeah, we've got it, we've cracked it, and that's the moment you're always searching for. It's not always easy to find. Some songs you really have to work hard on the tempo or the arrangement or the lyrics, of course, and the music, but I'm just trying to think of what the journey we've taken. So you mentioned maybe Infinity Land. The songs in there are all like a journey, like My Recovery Injection, you never know where it's going to go next. And I think after having gone through that journey in our first 3 albums, it was time for us to take a slight step into the next chapter and the next start of the next trilogy with Puzzle. I think at that point the lyrics became a little more important and the music became a little simplified to allow the vocal, the lyrics a little bit of space. So there've been adjustments along the way. On this latest album, we've really embraced kind of new technology and really using the studio to its full potential. In the past, we almost used just to go in and do the drums, and
which just has its charm, though.
It does absolutely. I mean, we've always worked hard. This time there's a little more experimentation, so we're always trying to find a new avenue, a new path. But I don't think we've ever left the main road. We've always been trying to kind of make the music that we enjoy, and hopefully other people enjoy it as well.
And do you feel like this is the way that, well, who knows the future, but this is the way you're going to go, but maybe increasing production value, decreasing production value, but it's always the songwriting is going to be there,
Yeah, I mean, all we know is that we're going to do our best to not repeat ourselves musically or artistically, but the next album will sound probably more like Ellipsis than it will sound like anything else previous. So that's about all we can tell for the future so far, and we're going to continue to experiment in the studio, and we're hopefully going to record again with Rich Costy. That's about all we know at the moment, but and we'll just try and please ourselves, like James said. That's what we always do, make music that we would buy, that we want to listen to.
Or an album full of odd time signatures and halftones and shrieking into people's ears, and it's a complete surprise or something.
But that would be, we still love that kind of music, but for us that would be artistically a step backwards. So maybe we'll revisit that kind of a million ideas in one song one day, but not at the moment.
Sure, absolutely. And do you guys feel that with Ellipsis, well, obviously it has been going really well with it being number one in the UK and stuff. And congratulations on that. But did you feel that it could have been a moment in which someone would like a fan or something would go like, "Oh, Ellipsis. Okay, I'll take the hint, and so I'll skip this one. I'll go back to this later."
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I think I know you're sort of tongue in cheek there, but I think any time you release a record, you run the risk of alienating people. But I think as a band, you owe it to yourself to try not worry about that too much. I mean, we care so much that the fans like the music, but if we sat in the studio trying to write the songs that we thought they would like, there's no way we would get it right. You can never second guess all of your fans and make something that they want to hear. So as we both,
you shouldn't, right? You shouldn't compromise for what someone else wants.
You don't want that, from your movie stars, from your bands, you don't want those people to just cater exactly to you. You fell in love with them because they were doing what they believed in the first instance, so let the bands take care of the music.
Sure, exactly. Plus, as music fans, I think that's at least my take on it is just that sometimes fans are really harsh when bands go some. I'm not saying that's your case. I'm saying, like, for instance, bands that have had significant changes in sound that have rather shocked fans, but sometimes you kind of have to. You need to let your favorite artists do that. So because it's a learning process, even as a listener.
Absolutely. Look at the journey the Beatles took in 10 years. The journey that Bowie took. I think all these great artists of a different era were allowed a little bit more license to explore the horizons, and
those are insane examples.
Oh, incredible! And if you look at Hunky Dory and Let's Dance, the journey between, I don't know what the time difference was, probably 10 or 12 years, maybe a little more, but the journey between those two records is incredible. And I'm certainly not trying to hold us in the same company as Bowie and the Beatles, but if we could sort of take inspiration from that, I think that would be a good start for us.
Fantastic. And did you have any specific emotional motivation for this record?
I think probably after a long time on the road with the last record, we were a little bit burnt out. I think spent probably a little too much time on the road, and so you kind of get home and you're searching for answers, searching for clues. I mean, it sounds a little melodramatic, but suddenly you're sitting on your couch after spending 2 years going around the world, just thinking, well, what now? And so you start building a fight, and I think the hunger came from wanting to fight for our place, our position as a band. I think a lot of people around the band were trying to get in Simon's head and give him ideas and things about some people that they're kind of making out that they're there to help you, but really they're there to help themselves. And so I think that made Simon sing about animals and that animalistic instinct. And The Wolves of Winter is about trying to reclaim your patch and
awesome song, by the way.
Thank you very much. And being like a gang together, a wolf pack, and don't come on our patch because this is our band. No one else is. If the band stops tomorrow, we're the ones that our life stops. Everyone else can go and work with all the other bands and stuff. So I think that was kind of the sort of loosely some of the themes that you can see through the record.
Oh, fantastic! It's very curious that now it has this narrative to go along with it. But this is for a show, as I said before, called Made of Things, and it's based on the assumption that you dedicated yourselves to music as an artist because you heard something or watched something or read something or experienced something that made you go like, oh, I really want to do that for the longest possible period possible. Did you guys have that? And if so, what was it?
You mean you definitely had it with the drums?
I think the one kind of piece of media that inspired me to be in a band was watching Nirvana at, I think it was MTV Awards. It was on late one night. I should have been in bed. I think it was Aneurysm. I think they played or something like that.
I don't remember, but there's that famous moment where Chris gets his bass and throws up.
I guess it was that one. But I was super young. I was maybe 13 or 14 and watching television when I should have been asleep. And it's the dynamics that band possessed, and
I was 11.
Yeah, so that sounds about right. And it changed my life. I woke up the next day going to school like, I'm going to start listening to this band now. At the time I was listening to fucking Too Unlimited and
really?
Oh yeah, like I was listening to techno.
No limits.
Yeah, no limits, reach for the sky, no valley too deep, no mountain too high.
Still remember lyrics? Know the song.
Come
okay.
On. And
it's a bit of her nickname is because Leonora in short is No.
Okay.
She's doing second camera for the people who aren't watching, who can see it. No, so it's no limits.
Fantastic.
Leonora for short is No. So yeah.
It all ties in, but I had some pretty awful taste in music up until hearing Nirvana. So that very much changed my mind on the music I wanted to listen to and pursue, but also I hadn't really thought about being in a band until that moment. I thought maybe it was something that wasn't attainable to me, but Nirvana were playing quite simple music and it sounded like something we could do. So that kind of brought me and Simon together as well as in school and made us want to jam together and started this whole thing.
And how about you?
I was probably a little more of a reluctant participant in some regard at the start.
You drank along the way then?
Maybe it was like a lack of confidence or thinking, can I actually do this? I didn't really play as much as the guys. There were always guitars in the house. Music was always a big part of my life. I always had a deep love for music, but I just didn't really see myself playing. I mean, this is at 14, so it didn't last very long because then we were in the garage making as much noise as we could and pissing off our parents and the whole street making as much noise as we could, and we just fell in love with making that beautiful noise together. And it wasn't that beautiful at that time, I suppose, but
I'm sure it was.
We thought it was great, and
I'm not sycophanting. I'm saying like that noise is fantastic. So
that's it. I mean, when you're a kid and you've got some aggression that comes from I don't know where, suddenly as a young man you become kind of angry and you're like, it's just being a teenager, I suppose, but it was just that the camaraderie and the bond, kind of us against the world, that sort of feeling. We had a gang, it was a bit of a purpose, and it was fucking hell of a good fun.
And what about like when you guys become more technically developed? Was there any catalyst, like inspirationally?
I actually asked myself a similar question the other day. We started to play shows and learn about doing a sound check, and then you start to ask questions about, well, what happens after the sound goes into the microphone? How does it get to the speakers? And if that's where you're going with this question, we started to become a little more interested in the technical side of things. And Ben and I went to college in Glasgow to study music technology and production and that sort of thing. So I think just spending time, we've been so lucky to spend so, make 7 records with some amazing people and learn little things as we go along. We've still got a lot to learn. We learned so much on this record working with Rich Costy, and there's no right and wrong way to do anything. You can have a really old school approach with tape machines and old desks, or you can, Rich was, he just didn't know what you were going to get from one moment to the next. He was always just grabbing bits of equipment from here and there, and as you mentioned it last night, he's like, I just got this new toy, and he's like, sounds pretty good. Just a really enthusiastic guy and a really amazing guy to be with. So we've been lucky to learn from these guys.
And the pack is still holding on together after all this time.
We're fucking together, man. We ain't going anywhere.
Fantastic. That's good. And I'm glad that you guys have been growing and achieving so much success as well.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for your time.
Thanks. Nice to talk to you, man.
No, thank you. And same.
You do really amazing English.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
I don't want to be sycophantic. It's like, I only just learned that word. Well done, really.
Well, I learned it by watching Monty Python tapes.
Oh, right. Okay.
And because we have subtitles over here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we used to
like
have
MTV,
subtitles.
you're just picking it up.
Oh yeah. And,
you do English in school, I guess, as well.
Yeah, well,
but basically when we started,
brothers.
yeah.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
And I actually started having English classes in 2nd grade.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But they shipped in a teacher from England.
Oh, okay.
And he didn't know a word of Portuguese.
Oh, no. Shit. Well, how can you teach English?
Like 2nd grade. Luckily, I already spoke English
You had a little...
fluently.
Right, okay.
Yeah, same with me.
You're probably taking the class then.
Yeah, I was like the assistant teacher.
Yeah.
In 2nd grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that continued all through high school.
Jeez, wow.
Like whenever there was like a subject that people needed
A bit of help here.
it
Same
was
with me,
like,
yeah.
No. Would you kindly?
Yeah, we started English classes when I was 9, and I already knew like
Jeez,
half of it. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's just kids learn stuff. Thanks for listening, guys. This has been a long show. I've been ranting on and on about several things. So please just follow us on YouTube if you haven't already. Most of the stuff is on video, but we do have some audio-only episodes. We have our Facebook page, Made of Things, and should probably maybe go to Made of Things podcast. You can download these things on iTunes, and if you have an Android, go to the Made of Things on a page on WordPress, and there's Instagram and Twitter, and Made of Things Pod, and Made of Things on Instagram. Have you been confused yet? If not, then just Google stuff in general, or Bing it, maybe. Okay, bye-bye, guys. We'll have more shows soon. Thanks for listening, and we'll have more shows soon. And follow us on social media, and thanks for listening. And we'll have more shows soon. Kisses. Bye-bye.